There are two things
Wow.
that the Lord brought to mind right now. In this season, so much of what you were sharing speaks to this message of consecration that the Lord,
Hmm.
has had us speaking for a long time. Um, and so many people misunderstand that call to consecration. They think it's about, oh, you have to get all your ducks in a row. You have to be squeaky clean, right? You have to
Yeah.
before you can draw near to the Lord. And yet, consecration is about just fully yielding to the Lord and making ourselves available to Him, drawing near to Him. And as we draw near to Him, then all
Hmm.
the other things, right, that would hinder our love relationship with Him, that would get in the way, all of those things are kind of just, they just fall off. All
Right.
of those things just because everything pales in comparison to Jesus. When we're
Yeah.
looking at Jesus, when we have our eyes fixed on Jesus, we just become so enamored with Him. We fall in love with Him.
Yeah.
And He's just so beautiful that everything else pales in comparison. So as we draw near to Him, as we draw close to Him, as we come into that place of intimacy with Him, then all those other things that would hinder that love relationship with Him just fall away. They just fall away.
Yeah, and I love that because I often think that the Lord is so I want to use the word desperate or relentless in his pursuit of us, isn't he? The way
Yeah.
that he pursues, he wants friends, not in the desperate need of like, oh my gosh, I need friends. Out of his love, like I really truly believe right now that in this new era that the eyes of the Lord are roaming the earth and he's not looking for those who are doing everything perfectly. He's looking for those that are after his heart. He's looking for those that are truly after his heart in that place of purity. I am not going after Jesus and going after revelation. So I've got the latest revelation and I can build my platform and have the latest prophetic word or whatever it looks like. It's this place of absolute hunger and burning adoration for the Lord that says, I just want to know you. Like I at the end of my life, I want to be known as a friend of God. Like that is what I want to be known for at the end of my life. I want to be known as that friend. And so I love that, what you're sharing, Melissa, because I think that, in this new era where it is very different, we can fall into that place of like, oh my gosh, I've got to be squeaky clean and all my dots, my I's dotted and my
Right.
T's
Yeah.
crossed. But he's after the heart. He's after the
Right.
heart of those who want to minister to him first and
Yes.
foremost. That is my greatest delight. And from that place, then I overflow and I extend the kingdom. Like, incredible.
Yes. You just said a key phrase for me. It's like Ezekiel,
Yeah.
where he in the book of Ezekiel, where he speaks of, the sons of Zadok and those that would
Oh,
minister unto
yes.
the Lord. That's like a plumb line passage for us. It's like there are
Yes.
those who are allowed to who minister in the house of God and minister to the people, but then there are those that are that choose to minister unto the Lord first, and
Hmm.
it says that those who choose to minister unto the Lord first, that they'll wear those linen garments, where they will not
Will not
sweat.
sweat.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go back to the fiery eyes of Jesus because really that's something
Yes.
that the Lord has just been speaking to me about so much, in this season
Yeah.
as well. There's where he's just brought back to the forefront for me this vision that I had several years ago, and it was actually a two-part vision. And in the first part of this vision, I was, I'm a petite lady, but in this vision, I was super tiny, like a toddler. I was the size of a toddler, and I had these big, huge, massive eyes. And so in this vision, I'm standing on what looked like a bluff, like like kind of the edge of a cliff.
Hmm.
But as I'm looking over, I'm seeing like the earth. And the entire earth is just in front of me and it's rotating very slowly. So I'm seeing the nations of the earth. And then right next to me, Jesus is standing next to me and I'm holding his hand. And Jesus and I'm looking into his eyes, and his eyes were just so beautiful and so full of light. And I'm enamored and just in awe of the beautiful eyes of Jesus. And we start talking to one another, like communicating with our eyes, not with words. It was with eyes, just by his gaze. Like I could understand what he was saying. And
So
I'm
good.
pointing and I'm asking him questions, and he's asked, and he's explaining things to me about the nations. And then so that's how this vision proceeded. And then when I had the second part of the vision, it was about 2 years later, I had the second part of the vision. In I came into the exact same vision, but I was not that tiny toddler. I was my full grown up self, but I still had the big huge eyes. And I'm on the exact same spot, and I'm looking at the fiery eyes of Jesus. So again, I'm pointing to nations and asking him questions, and he's speaking to me of the nations, but then he starts telling me through his eyes, he's telling me, okay, now you say that. Now you speak that. And he was instructing me to release words, to release prophetic decrees over the nations. And this continued for a period of time. And then in one moment, as I'm actively engaged, I'm all excited about just releasing the words of the Lord over the nations. Then for just a split second, I look and I didn't see Jesus standing there next to me. But in that moment, this huge sword appeared in my hand, and it was so heavy, it just fell to the ground and I couldn't lift it. And I shouted out, in desperation, like, oh my goodness, I can't be without you. I shouted, Jesus. And when I shouted Jesus, I felt his hands on my back, and fire surged through me, but at the same time, he was behind me and he was in front of me, because I could see him magnified in front of me, the fiery eyes of Jesus in front of me. But he was also my rear guard. He was also there as this fire that just rushed through me, surged through my arm, and I was able to lift up that sword and start wielding that sword with so much more power and authority over the nations. And every time that this is brought to my remembrance, sometimes we focus on releasing prophetic words, prophetic decrees, and the preaching and the teaching and all of these things that we do in ministry and the authority and the power. But he always emphasizes so sweetly for me, Melissa, how did it begin? It began by just in that childlike innocence, in that sweet awe and wonder, just looking into the fiery eyes of Jesus. And that's where the authority came from. And that's where everything else flowed from. But I feel like I agree with you, Lana, that's the place where he's calling us into in this season.
Yeah, I feel that really strongly. And, one of the things the Lord spoke to me about this new era is he said to me, Lana, get ready to be in wide-eyed wonder. And they were the words that he used. And then he went on to begin to talk to me about the fear of the Lord and that being restored to the church, the awe and the wonder of who he is. And that place, like you said, Melissa, of just childlike faith and innocence, like I am gazing upon my beloved in wide-eyed wonder of his beauty. And you think of it this way, right? Every time we go into an encounter with the Lord, and we look into his eyes, how can we look in the eyes of Jesus and not be changed? Like you look in the eyes of Jesus, I look in the eyes of Jesus, and I'm reminded of who I am. I'm reminded of his love. I'm reminded of the authority that he has placed upon me through his death and resurrection. I'm reminded